Exactly 1 week from tomorrow, all eyes on Wisconsin, where Badger State voters will decide the fate of their Republican governor. Scott Walker's under fire from the left for his aggressive spending cuts the governor defends as job creating. But Wisconsin politics aside, my next guest says the outcome could matter to you no matter where you live. Guy Benson, welcome to you. You think what happens in Wisconsin is a precursor to November. How so?
It very well could be, Lori, for a number of reasons. First of all, I think if President Obama is watching what's happening in Wisconsin and Scott Walker manages to survive this recall and win, that'll be a vote of confidence not just for him, but for conservative principles, the principles that Scott Walker's reforms embody. So I think that he'd be a little nervous if Walker wins. And I think the Romney campaign is probably keeping a very close eye on what happens in Wisconsin, because that's one of those blue wall states that the Obama campaign thinks will help them secure the 270-plus electoral votes they're going to need. If Wisconsin can switch from blue to red in 2012, I think it probably helps spell a Romney victory.
I'll tell you, recent polling shows that Walker's job might be safe. So does it suggest to you, just kind of curious for your take on this side of things, that this whole recall election is backfiring on the Democrats?
Oh, there's no question about it. And you're starting to see memos from national Democrats. They're whispering to the press saying, we always thought this was a bad idea. A lot of national Democrats refusing to get involved, refusing to spend money. And you're absolutely right. If you look at a lot of the recent polling data, it's shown maybe a 5 or 6 point Walker lead. But the key here, Lori, is there are just a minuscule number of undecided voters. People in Wisconsin have made up their mind about this race. And by and large, Scott Walker sitting pretty. His reforms have actually outpolled him. They are more popular than he is. But I don't see what really sways this thing in the last few days, with the exception possibly of these debates, one of which already happened this past Friday.
So Wisconsin is a fierce battleground state, of course. 2008, for what it's worth, went all blue, all in for Obama. But since then, 2010, obviously, you have the governorship. You have the U.S. Senate seat going GOP, plus 2 House seats and a majority in the state legislature. So, you know, do you agree that if Walker wins the recall election, it's not only, to your point, it's already sending a very, very strong message, but is that enough for the GOP and the Romney camp? Not nearly enough. What else do they need to do to lock in Wisconsin?
Well, a couple things here, and I've spoken to some Romney folks about this, and as they are watching this very, very closely, and one of the polls that just came out about the governor's race also had a secondary question about the presidential race. It had Barack Obama and Mitt Romney tied exactly, I believe, at 46% among likely voters in Wisconsin. So there's 2 ways of looking at this, Lori. The first one is positive for President Obama. A lot of the voters in next Tuesday's election will not be college students because they've gone home for the summer, and those voters are going to show up probably in November to help, I think, overwhelmingly support President Obama. So there's going to be thousands of more Wisconsin Democrats turning out in the fall. But here's a positive element for Mitt Romney and the Republicans. It's that old aphorism, which is practice makes perfect. And the Republican operation in Wisconsin has had a lot of practice identifying their voters and turning them out. So the ground operation has become a finely honed machine for the GOP in Wisconsin that will undoubtedly help the Republican ticket in that state come November.
Interesting analysis. Thanks so much, Guy Benson.